Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know how we do it here. We take something kind of complex and break it down. And today, well, we're talking about blockchain voting.
Sounds pretty techy.
It is a bit, but we're going to make sure everyone's following along, don't worry. And, blockchain voting, it's about way more than just using Bitcoin at the ballot box.
Right, right. It's about, well, it has this potential to change how we think about democracy, like really shake things up, but only if it's designed the right way, with the user, the voter, at the center of it all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're going to get into today. We've got some big questions to unpack.
Like, can blockchain really make elections tamper-proof?
Yeah, that's a big one. And then how do we even make it easy for everyone to use, especially people who aren't, super tech savvy?
Definitely, accessibility is key.
And of course, looking ahead, what's the future of blockchain voting? What does it all mean? Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a fascinating ride. So let's jump right in. Can you break down blockchain for us? I mean, we hear it everywhere, but what does it actually mean in the context of voting?
Okay, so imagine, like, each vote is this tiny, unbreakable puzzle piece.
Okay, I'm with you. A puzzle piece.
And then it's linked to millions of other pieces.
So like a huge, complicated puzzle.
Exactly. That's basically what a blockchain is. It's like this digital ledger, but instead of being in one place, it's spread across a bunch of computers.
Like a shared Google Doc or something.
Kind of, but way more secure. Because it's distributed, it's super hard to mess with it.
So someone can't just hack into one computer and change everything.
Nope. Every vote in this case is a block added to this chain. And everyone has a copy of the ledger, so it's totally transparent.
So it's like having a million witnesses to every vote.
Right. You got it. And that makes it much harder to tamper with the results. And like I said, it's auditable. You can actually trace the path of a vote from start to finish.
Wow, that's impressive. But how has it worked in practice? Are there any real-world examples of blockchain voting?
There have been some promising trials. West Virginia, back in 2018, they used blockchain for overseas voters in a pilot program. They found a 99% reduction in certain types of fraud risks.
99%. That's amazing. What kind of fraud were they targeting, though, like specifically?
Good question. So they were mainly looking at things like preventing duplicate voting, someone voting twice.
Right.
And unauthorized changes to voter registration data.
Makes sense.
It was a small-scale program, of course, but still, it showed that blockchain can really address some of the big security worries we have about elections.
So, okay, security, that's the big selling point, right? But I think we both agree that user experience is super important, too. You mentioned that earlier. What are some of the biggest hurdles for blockchain voting when it comes to user experience?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is just complexity. Blockchain is built on all this, like, technical jargon.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You always hear people talking about wallets and private keys and all that stuff.
Exactly. And for people who aren't tech savvy, it can be really confusing. There were actually some trials in Estonia back in 2020, and they found that only 30% of people ended up using the system.
Wow, only 30%. That's pretty low.
Yeah, and part of the reason was because the user experience was just too complicated for a lot of people. They just didn't understand how to use it.
Right, so complexity, big hurdle. What else?
Well, accessibility is another big one. We need to make sure that everyone can vote, regardless of their tech skills or access to resources. So, for example, what about people in rural areas who have limited internet access?
Right, that makes sense.
Or people with disabilities who might need assistive technology, like voice navigation. A lot of the current blockchain voting apps out there, they just aren't designed with those needs in mind.
Yeah, we have to be mindful of those things.
And then there's the issue of trust. Even with the most secure system, people need to understand how it works.
Right, and feel confident that their data is safe.
Exactly. So transparency is key.
So, okay, lots of challenges, but what are some potential solutions? How can we actually make blockchain voting more user-friendly and trustworthy?
Well, for starters, we need to focus on simple, intuitive designs. Think big buttons, clear instructions.
Keep it simple.
Exactly. And things like real-time progress bars, so you know that things are working, and privacy seals so people feel reassured that their data is protected.
Okay, I like those ideas. Are there any countries doing a good job of this already?
Actually, Switzerland had a really successful pilot program back in 2023. They really focused on user experience, and they found that it actually doubled voter trust, especially among people who were initially skeptical of the technology.
Doubled. Okay, that's impressive. So let's look ahead a bit. What's next? What does the future hold for blockchain voting?
Well, the possibilities are pretty mind-blowing, honestly. Think about it. We could have AI instantly verifying your identity.
Whoa, that's cool.
Or AR, augmented reality, guiding you through the voting process, and smart contracts could automatically count the votes and deliver the results.
Wow, that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But let's be real for a second. What are some of the hurdles we still need to overcome to make that vision a reality? What are the things that keep you up at night?
Well, all those amazing futuristic features, they're still largely experimental.
Hmm.
Implementing them securely and reliably on a large scale, that's a huge challenge. And of course, we have to make sure that the technology doesn't leave anyone behind. We need apps that work offline.
Right, not everyone has reliable internet access.
Exactly. And they should offer different ways to log in, like using biometrics, like fingerprint scanning. And of course, multilingual support is essential so that everyone can understand how to vote.
Yeah, inclusivity is really important here.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like the technology has the potential to be really transformative, but it's not a magic solution, right?
Definitely not. Blockchain gives us amazing tools to create a more secure and transparent voting system, but it's still up to us to design it in a way that's fair and accessible for all voters.
So true. So let's bring it back to you, the listener. We've talked about the incredible potential of blockchain voting, but also some of the challenges. And now we want to hear from you. Would you trust your vote to a blockchain system? Think about that. What would give you confidence in its security? What concerns would you still have?
It's a conversation we all need to be a part of because technology is changing how we vote, and we need to make sure it's changing for the better.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And it's a conversation we'll definitely keep having right here in future deep dives. So until then, keep those brains buzzing, and we'll catch you next time.